Luca Nation. Last week, right before the holidays officially start, and for you guys out there celebrating Hanukkah, happy holidays. And we're back with another episode of Lucas Tigers and Bronze. Oh my, 880. Amazing, amazing, amazing to see the numbers that we're putting up. And it's only because of you guys out there who are daily listeners, daily commenters. You engage, you agree, you disagree. Our numbers are through the roof. But what I love more is sort of the community, the vibe that we're building. And honestly, straightforward, and maybe we'll discuss this on the show. As grown men, we're starting to learn how to disagree. You know, that whole line, agree to disagree. I think it's important to remember kind of what this industry is. This isn't,
What is it? What is the industry, Andrew?
We are part gamblers, speculators, part investors, and part fanatics of sports. And then there's this overlap. So I think it's important to remember, like if you're just using your soccer comment, that's not, we're talking about like life and death. We're not talking about foreign affairs. We're not talking about war. We're not talking about sickness and cancer. We're talking about sports cards and the collectability or lack thereof of specific industries. So, and I kind of wanted to dovetail into, there's this beef with Hobby Shark and card porn that I find very fascinating right now. There was the golden $3 million ball that sold for $1.5 million that he got absolutely destroyed on social media for. There's a really good post going around by Spinatron who try to give you guys a little bit of, context, saying that not every card is down. Yeah, maybe the cards that you've seen over and over and over and over again run on auction, LeBron rookies, Curry rookies, Brady rookies, that kind of stuff is down. But hey, take a look at Tatum's market, right? A Tatum Kaboom Gold just sold for a record price. So it's not everything. And zoom out. So any of those, if they're interesting to you, I'm still getting kind of a little bit of hate from the people that you pissed off with the soccer stuff.
Wait, what kind of hate? Tell me about the hate.
It's not real hate.
No one's hated me. Did you see what I sent you today? By the way, guys, Andrew's all about the conversation. And what's funny about him is every once in a while, I think he's going to go down a bad road, but he never really goes all the way down. He just puts his foot down there, tests it out, puts his toe in the water, moves in. It's actually fun for me to watch you navigate the hobby, because you're doing it not just one of the things that made this thing fun for the first year and a half, almost 2 years, was watching you try to navigate the card space, what to buy, what not to buy, what to do when you make a mistake about what to buy and trying to fix that mistake. But we also wear this other, content hat, dare I say influencer hat, which, define that however you want. But, and it's funny because people do reach out. People listen to the episodes and people do say, hey, by the way, what do you think about this? And one of the fun things I get to watch is how you navigate that. And guys, let me just tell you, right? Shies away from absolutely nothing. Even when I say you probably shouldn't be responding to this, responds to everything he can, right? There's only so many hours in the day. I love that because, look, what else are we doing, right? Just go back for the first 2 minutes here. What's the hobby? It's a bunch of people, men, women, whatever. We have some children. We have some common interest, right? We like collecting. We like a little gambling. We like a little excitement. And our chosen hobby centers around our fanaticism for players, teams, countries, collectibles. That's really all it is. But people come in with all kinds of craziness, and Andrew's there to answer almost all of it, go down all the roads. But sometimes when I think he's going to go down the wrong road, he stops short of going full heel. He doesn't go full bad guy. He comes back, and he goes down another road. We have some fun. So I got to give you a little credit because, listen, you keep it fun for me, man. You keep it fun.
Let's define the term influencer. We hear that term all the time. When you hear the term influencer, what do you think? And I could read you the Google definition, which is because it's an interesting thing because this
anybody who uses status or power of status, power, or otherwise to, it's hard to make the definition of influencer without using the word influence, but to, have an impact on the decisions or actions of others.
So what's interesting, it's a relatively new word, right? Like I think
Mhm.
2000, we didn't have social media. So the marketing definition is a person with the ability to influence potential buyers of a product or service by promoting or recommending the items on social media. So we get, because we have a podcast, we get the term thrown at us a lot that influencers, right? Like that was such a bad take. I can't believe influencers will say that, or that's such a good take. I can't believe I'm so glad an influencer would say that. Do you think the people commenting on posts are influencers?
Sure. By that definition, sure.
I think a lot about that term. Like the reason why I respond to all these comments, ideas, whatever, is because I think with the term influencer, a lot of people think it's like what I say goes. But I don't view influencer like that at all. How I view the word is I have a responsibility to understand what the community that I'm influencing is feeling, seeing, and then run it through my own filter and share the results.
I mean,
That's how,
is a news channel an influencer?
for sure.
Like, is CNN an influencer? Is Fox News an influencer? Is MSNBC an influencer? Is Jim Cramer an influencer? It doesn't just have to. Go ahead.
I think what makes it interesting, if you brought up CNN, Fox, all those, we're not able to see what the viewers are thinking, right? In real time. Here, what makes social so cool is we get to see, okay, here's Tucker Carlson or here's Anderson Cooper's take on XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what the community thinks.
Yeah.
I think that's is very unique. I think that new media that Draymond talks about is very fascinating.
I love it. I don't know what the hell I'm doing on social media. I try all kinds of different things. People want to make videos. I make videos. I make my own little meme kind of videos. I try to have some fun. I try to poke people sometimes because it gets the people going. Sometimes I try to be educational with the clips. Sometimes I don't even know what clip is out there of me, which is always fun too.
That's the most fun, isn't it?
But we're trying. That's the thing. We're trying to have fun, right?
I don't understand the beef between Hobby Shark and card porn, and I don't understand why that's become a thing.
Hold on. Hang on a second.
Oh, stop! That's worse than eating. Stop! That's so painful. I wish you knew how that sounded. Audio listeners, I apologize.
Please go ahead. Please, everyone, for just audio listeners, I have my foil hat on now, guys. Go ahead.
He can't even. His cards have done so bad, he can't even afford a full case of foil. He's run out of tinfoil.
I could put more on, but you said it's noisy.
It was so bad.
Stop being noisy.
I'm not lying to you. I wouldn't lie to you like that.
I can go get more. But no, get the foil on now.
So, okay, fine. We can skip over that.
No, don't skip. I got my. Listen, this is why I put it on. I'm immune. I can put my foil hat on. Talk to me. What's the issue?
The way I interpret stuff is when there's no problems to solve, we create problems as human beings.
I like it. I like that. So far, I don't need a hat for that. That makes sense.
I don't know why this whole doxing and telling where people live has become a thing. Like I don't understand it.
So do you know that actually happened?
I've seen story posts in both directions.
Which one do you believe?
I don't believe any of it. I feel like it's so unnecessary on both sides.
So then how do you know that stuff's actually happening? You know what I mean? Like, are you going to take all of it at face value? I mean, do you really know that Kit Kats are being eaten in a shower somewhere?
I did. People did.
Have you seen that?
Tiger Braun with videos. I reported all of the accounts.
People, stop sending videos of yourself eating a Kit Kat in the shower to Andrew. He has become addicted. Normally, I would tell him just to delete them, but no, he has not.
Even you ladies, let's keep it professional.
Here's the fun stuff. I want to give all of the folks in my crew here, me and the other foilers, okay? I want to give us all a pass. Okay, not me specifically, because I don't really actually do the foil stuff. I'm going to say right off the bat that I think it comes from a good place. I think it comes from a place of we are the common folk. We are the regular people, and we don't like being, led astray by the powers that be, and that if we all band together and we all open our eyes and we all see what's there to be seen, we have some power too. But where it goes a little left, so I think that the thought process behind it is a good thought process. I don't think it comes out of anger or malice. I don't believe there is mens rea there. I don't believe there is a guilty mind. I don't believe anybody's trying to do anything, untoward with it. I think there probably are a few actors who might actually just want to burn the whole friggin' thing down. Sure. But for the most part, the people we're talking about, they fall in a category of, look, we should all be operating with a little bit more of a light shined on, what's going on. There's nothing wrong with that. It's how it's done, right? I mean, if an account comes out there and starts talking about shill bidding, isn't that the same thing? Isn't it? Hey, let's shine a light on shill bidding. Let's look at what's being shilled and blah, blah, blah. Isn't that the same thing? Isn't that somebody who's looking out for the hobby? Like, isn't that, but it doesn't get looked at the same way. And I think part of the reason is because you can make a statement and back it up, or you can make a statement and just leave a Kit Kat wrapper in the shower and let everybody, like, what the hell's going on? What are you talking about? But you got, hey, look at the shill bidding going on here. And then you have 4 pages of the shill bidding and the data to back it up and the private, feedback, the zero feedback. You have all these things. Okay, here's the evidence of it. Here's this. That's sort of, I think, the difference, right? I mean, I think the tinfoil is necessary when you don't have actual evidence to kind of back stuff up. And we've now got 2 different kinds of content in that, hey, let's shine a light camp. You got the people who want to shine a light and actually have the goods. And then you have people who've created this other little type of content, which is, I'm going to fart in church and run away and let those people sit in the pew. Get it? See what I did there? Because this church seat is called a pew and the fart is stinky. See? You get it.
I'm processing. I'm always a little bit slower than you. I feel like you've had, the 10,000 hour rules of processing issues.
Yeah. My tinfoil hat fell off.
It's noisy. What is the end goal, I guess? Like, I always kind of start with the end in mind. With our podcast, like, I was like, okay, I'll start with the end in mind. I never want to charge our community for content. Okay. I've always felt like when you charge people for content, things could go awry. It just feels different for me.
Yep. And yet we still take heat, even though we don't charge the people. We have figured out, I believe, a way for the content to be paid for, the production to be paid for, our team to be paid for, and allow the thousands of people who get to consume this daily for free. Yet we're still here. You guys are bought.
Well, so from day one, I was like, we'll never charge you. You guys could go listen. That episode's still there. We don't take down episodes. So unless someone sends us a cease and desist,
well,
you know who you are. But those are going to be collectibles in like 100 years anyway. Are they signed? Let's make sure we get that one signed. Anyway, I digress. So from day one, we wanted. I didn't mention the name. I might later in the episode. From day one, I was like, we'll never charge for content. Okay, so let's think through that business model. If we don't charge for content, either we have, this is my second business, or I've exited another business and I'm willing to put my own money in. You go get investors' money, or you have to earn an income through sponsorship. So I'm like, okay, we get money through. So this is how we're going to run the business. And if we're aligned with that mission now, from what we were in day one, it's like, okay, check mark, Andrew. Good. We're sticking to our values and goal. What is the end goal? So most people out there already know card pool. Let me leave it. What is the end goal, in your opinion, of the sort of the farting in the wind and leaving other people to deal with the stink?
By who?
I'm going to go with the tinfoil hats because I feel they've been more vocal about something that is so irrelevant in this current.
And yet we're talking about it, though. So we have to put a cap on this a couple minutes in, because just blowing it up and giving it mainstream attention like this does give them what they want.
We're not mainstream.
We are. We're as mainstream as it comes, dude. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
We are, man. We're mainstream media in this hobby thing.
Which is, if we just rewind, a month, when it was the whole PSA grading a card that clearly didn't look like a 10, I understand that. That has financial implications. I understand the impropriety. here, like, who promotes Ken Golden's or Card Porn's auction? Does it matter to you guys? Like, what are you trying to save people from?
So what do you
They
think?
shouldn't
I don't
buy
know.
the Walt Disney. If you don't like it, don't buy it. Are you worried that the autographs are not real? Like, I don't understand the end result of some of the witch hunt.
So I think part of the problem is that I think a lot of these guys started off with a legitimate post. They started off with something that they were shining a light on that was like, wow, look at this. And they got some traction with it. And it's just like that first viral post that you try to chase, right? It's like, what did we do here? I first started posting. I have to go back to my first week or two or whatever on my Instagram page. I posted this like Carmelo Anthony card with like a song in it. I posted it at like 2 a.m, and it really caught on in the Philippines. And in like an hour, it was like posted by 4,000. It was like going crazy. And I'm like, what's going on? It was like a lot of comments, a lot of all kinds of stuff. And I was like, what the hell happened here? And I'm like, all right, well, I got to repeat that. I got to do the same thing again. But the thing is, sometimes with what catches on with viral, couple things. Number one, you can't copy it because you never know what it is that caught the algorithm, or you never know what it is that caught the attention of the hobby. And then more importantly, right? If you try to recreate that inorganically, the hobby knows it's fake. It's why I'm not coming out today and saying soccer still sucks. And by the way, Ronaldo was naked. Did you see him over there? And he punched Messi in the face. Like, I'm trying. You guys would know it's just a copy of what I did. I didn't even know our guys were going to post that. That's what makes it legit. That's what makes it catch on. I had no clue until I started getting all these alerts and notifications about me being a clown. So anyway, I think that's what we have with some of these accounts. I think they got some success. They maybe shine some light on something that people are like, oh, you know what? That's curious. Let me go down that rabbit hole a little bit. But then trying to replicate that, you start kind of like trying to inorganically create nothing, and it doesn't work.
Do you think it has something? So today's news cycle is like 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
But really, like, impropriety doesn't happen every 15 minutes. It might happen once a month. Let's just use an arbitrary number. So you're trying to force the impropriety into this news cycle, but it might just happen once in a while. And you're good at researching. Like, as a private investigator, amazing. Like the episode Sports Card Radio did, I got to give him a shout on Kenny G and all that stuff from back in the 90s. Whether it was accurate or not, it felt very thoroughly researched. Like, okay, news. Now we could work with this. But some stuff, it's like, whether it's real or fake with the Hobby Shark with Card Porn, I'm like, this is not I don't get the road. I don't get the win. I don't get the end result that either party's going to get.
And you know what's funny? You know what I want to say? I want to say, hey, it's bad for the hobby. Because anybody looking in, trying to grow it, looks at this and says, what the hell is going on here? But I know that the commentary from the side is going to be, well, that's just you, influencer. You are out there making money with your sponsors, and you don't want the people to know what it is that we know, right? You don't want them shining a light. You don't want to disrupt the powers that be, man. It's like you with the hippie drum circle, which is why I think you are attracted to this stuff. But that's the comments we get, man. We get the comments that are like, of course Cage doesn't think there's a problem. He's part of the establishment, man. He's part of the corporation.
I don't know what's the problem is what I'm asking first. Like, before,
I don't think there is one.
Like,
seriously, I don't think there is one. 90% of the time, I don't think there is one. I watch some of this content and I'm like, there is nothing there.
On the show bidding part, I would be very careful throwing stones when your house is not clean.
Yeah.
I would be very careful because it's very easy saying there's show bidding over there, show bidding over there. But I could go, and this actually, I will say,
throw stones if you live in a glass house.
I will say, there's
a glass jaw.
I've gotten, because I've been buying more Mahomes. I've watched the Mahomes market.
50 cents.
So I've been a little bit better versed in that than maybe a Hertz or Herbert or whatever. I would just be very careful calling other businesses out while your own stuff isn't ironclad, isn't clean.
That is another way, right? You have to also, if somebody's got one of these gotcha type of posts, the first question people got to ask is, well, what do they have to gain from making that post, right? Should be asking that. So,
what did you?
Go ahead.
Sorry, what did you think? Did you finish? Because I wanted to move to
let's move to 20 minutes on this. And first of all, we just spent 20 minutes of time talking about a topic that really doesn't even exist. But I got to put foil on, so
that's true.
But listen, I don't want to poo-poo it. By the way, before you move off to this, just 30 seconds more. If somebody's really being threatened, if there are phone calls happening where somebody's like, saying like a family member's addresses and that kind of stuff, that is a real problem. If you're part of the people doing that, call me, threaten me, and then we'll meet.
Call Saul.
That's bullshit. Don't do that crap.
It's here's where I'm at with it in my head. I like the people on like I like that. Not the tinfoil hat crew because that's a generality, but I think that they have a lot of potential and they're very smart people. So that's why I know it's not a real topic, but I'm like, I watch their shit. I'm like, these guys are smart. Anyway, the 1.5.
Yeah, but you know what happens with the boy who cried wolf, right? Eventually there's a wolf there. No one's gonna come help you. So save it for when there's something to really research. Save the bell ringing and for when there's actually an emergency, right? Otherwise, it can't be a hobby drama, every day, right? Because people just go you go nose blind, right? Anyway, go ahead. Sorry. So the judge ball.
And just from a technical podcast perspective, I'll save that for a different day. $1.5 million sale. This is going to be an interesting. This might take up the rest of the show. There were some perception is reality. So some people in the market, I think, rightfully believe that there were $3 million offers that were turned down in the promise that this ball would more likely sell for more than $3 million. It ended up selling for $1.5 million. There was a lot of social media stuff. How do you process this?
Okay, so let's just take it step by step.
Yeah.
You believe there was a $2 million offer, right? You believe there was a $3 million offer.
I chose
so if the market's right, then there's a $2 million offer and a $3 million offer. If that is the case,
yes,
okay, then this should have sold for more than $2 million because the person who was willing to pay 2 would have bid 2, and the person who was willing to pay 3 would have outbid them and paid 2.1 or 2.2 or 2.25 or whatever the bidding increments were at the time, probably $50,000, whatever the hell it is, right? If there were really somebody out there who was willing to pay 2 and pay 3, it would have sold for more than 2. So to me, that makes it very easy. Whoever it was that allegedly offered $2 million for something or $3 million was not a real offer. Because if it was, it would not have sold for $1.5 million. To me, I know this is a different thing, and I know we've seen headlines, and you can always trust what's in the headlines. I mean, there's nothing in a headline if it's not true. But Kim Kardashian, Chris Paul. I mean, there are headlines about that. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, right? Anyway, listen, point being.
Rumor news.
Point being, same shit. Have you ever had a deal? Have you ever put a picture of a card and said, hey, look, I got this card. And someone's like, oh man, I'd pay $5,000 for that. And when you message them and say, oh, you pay 5, they would say, I don't know if I can really pay 5. Yeah. Right. And then in the Facebook group, it's like, you guys saw that on a 5. I got a $5,000 offer. Who wants to pay me 6? I'm putting it up for auction now. I got that 5 offer, even though that 5 was one of these like, yeah, I'll pay 5. You know what? When it comes time to actually pay that money and write the check for the 2 or 3 million, maybe. No. Okay. So that's number 1, I think. Number 2, more importantly, is I think honestly, if there's a $2 or $3 million offer out there, I think it's one with, they use the word strings attached, but let me pull some strings. Let me pull the threads a little bit, what I think that means. I think there probably was another auction house that said the same thing. That said, hey, you know what? We're not really offering 2, but let us auction it for you, right? Let us auction it for you. We think it'll get to 2, right? And if it gets to 2, we won't charge you anything. There's your $2 million offer. It's 2 for free, and we'll take a percentage of anything more than 2. And that was written up as a $2 million offer. Who knows? Maybe there were no offers, and Corey Humans, who I think is worth a ton, and doesn't really need 152, whatever it is. But I don't want to count somebody else's money. I don't want to be what's in their pockets, right? I've only met the guy once. So what do I think? I think it's also possible. It's also possible that he made it up. Have you never had a card for sale? And now I'm talking to you, listeners. Have you never had a card for sale that you wanted $100 for? And you presented it to a dealer at a show and said, well, you know what? I've already gotten offers on this for like 90, 95. I need to get 100. Even though your offers might have only been 75 or 80. It's lying. It's white lying. It's negotiating. It's however you want to do it. But maybe Corey was doing it on a grander scale with his item. Maybe he was generating interest. I don't know. I don't know the facts. I don't know the story. I know the press release from Ken says that people did offer 2 and 3 and that those people were known and that they did not bid, which to me means that the 2 and the 3 are not real 2 and 3.
Something that isn't discussed, but it's funny because it happens in retail. We didn't think it would happen in this level. You've had people buy a card on eBay, but they don't pay right away because they want to see if that player performs really well, right?
Yeah, 100%.
When these offers came out, there was still the potential of Aaron Judge breaking the record, and there was potential of the Yankees doing something in the postseason.
Yep.
Which added to the hype or value, whichever word you want to put, of the ball. That hype and that hype is gone, and it looked how poorly the Yankees performed in the postseason. So he didn't come close to breaking the record, and they didn't do anything in that postseason, right?
Yep.
Which took away the allure. Let me throw you a hypothetical. What if the Yankees won the World Series, and that was the ball he broke the record with? Now that ball probably has a little more value, right?
Yeah. Maybe, by the way, the $3 million offer was from a fractional platform. I don't have inside information. I'm not, but maybe it was like, hey, we'll do it. We'll auction this off at $3 million, but you got to keep $1.5 million of it yourself, and you will only get $1.5 million, and the rest of it is retained equity on a platform. I'm not saying this happened, but maybe that's a $3 million valuation or offer on it. I don't know.
I'll say something in favor of Ken, and I'll say something maybe against just the business.
Nice.
Nobody gives the auction houses that much credit. When they promise that, like, hey, you run this Mickey Mantle, you'll get $1.5 million for it, but it ends for 2.2. No one's out there cheering on the auction house and being like, thanks for getting
when they get more.
Right? The second thing is, I think what this shows is the angst and animosity between, the elite and the farmers, so to speak, right? The everyday common folk and the perceived elite. I have a 9-figure bank account did not help his cause.
I mean, listen, my take on it is you're 100% right, man. I mean, the way that it's messaged, it also changes the entire thing. Because if we didn't hear about a $2 or $3 million offer and this ball sold for $1.5 million, we would all be saying, wow, this is an amazing sale. It sold for $1.5 million. The only reason why people are saying it's a failure, it's a flop, it's, whatever it is they're saying is because of the way that this was messaged out. Right? There was a 2 offer. There was a 3. I turned down 3, and I'm gonna take my chances at an auction. Okay. I mean, to me, those 2 and those 3. You know what it reminds me of? I was at a show. I've mentioned this on the show. I was at the Hofstra Trade Night earlier this year, and a kid came up to me and made an offer on a card. Right? And I said, okay, that I would take that. He says, just give me 1 minute, and he walks away. I thought maybe he's going to get cash, the whole deal. I have a friend at the show, one of the dealers, who says, hey, isn't this your card? Text me. Says, I had a kid offering it to me. He took a picture of it. So the kid made me an offer and then tried to go 5 minutes later to another dealer and sell it for more than what he was offering it to me for and have the money and the deal already in hand before I even paid it to him. So maybe somebody made a $3 million offer, but was planning on quickly selling it for 3.5 and didn't get that 3.5. I mean, didn't that happen with the Mac Jones? It sold for 100,000 and then sold for 175,000 like the next day.
So what's funny is, and I know some of you guys are like, we hate data, we hate indices, we hate all that stuff. Fine.
No, one person said
if you're in that category, no, I mean, there's a few. P. Ryan, for example, is another one who doesn't love market cap and data and all that. And then there's a lot of compelling arguments. Don't let me digress. Those signs that say like we buy houses and a phone number? That those are wholesale buyers. They actually buy a home. They don't have any cash out of their pocket and they have 30 days to go and flip it. So it's really funny to find these parallels in different industries. Not saying it's good or bad. It's just, this is human nature. This plays in different spaces. Okay. It's irky, right? Like it kind of irks you. Like, you feel kind of used, but it happens.
You have your price. If that kid was able to take the card for my price and go sell it to somebody else for more, spectacular.
He's a flipper, though.
I mean, here I am thinking I'm giving a good price to a kid who might actually want a card, but no. Of course, my friend, I said I'm offering it to him Offer him $80.01. See what happens.
Profit is profit. Don't go broke taking a profit. You know how they do these like how much do you trust your government polls, right?
Sure.
Like I would love to do one for the hobby because I think the beef or the what Ken got in the social media comments after selling the ball for 1.5, it just shows that there's such a distrust, and I do believe rightfully so, of the establishment of the old buddy network. Back to like the end goal, I think that our goal should be bridged. I think people should feel like the companies of the industry have at least part of their interest in mind. And I think that the companies in the industry will eventually feel that they're not going to get, just absolutely destroyed publicly for making mistakes. And I hope that maybe over the next year or two, we could bridge that divide, because right now it's such a us versus them mentality, in my opinion. At least that's what I'm witnessing.
Who's the us and who's the them?
I think us is just the everyday common folk, like the ones that, sub cards, want them back in a reasonable time for a fair price. I think we're, middle class,
out there for you?
Middle class, just people who are kind of, we have some disposable income, but we're not sitting in that, $500K plus category. I think that like the middle class, the everyday common man, woman, and child that just wants to buy cards, buy wax for an affordable price, grade them for an affordable price, get them back at a reasonable time, know that the auctions aren't, shielded and manipulated, those people. And then you have eBay, PWCC, Ken Golden, PSA, collectors, Beckett, SGC, even though SGC is a little smaller shop, so I think they get the benefit of the doubt. I would say the established fanatics, the Panini, Topps, like the establishment versus the members of the community.
And you think there's distrust there because what you're trying to do is navigate this in a way where you have a fair shake as a little guy to also make some money doing this, right?
I think COVID for sure added the distrust because you sent your cards in, they were held for basically 18 months, right? You had the Gary V's come in and, here's a card, let me show you this card, let me show you this card. But we always felt that he was kind of come and go and kind of use.
And the distrust is that those people are able to navigate it differently than we are, and they're able to make money while we're not.
The perception of it, whether true or false, and it's probably somewhere in the middle, right? It's some of the things, the accusations are true, some of them are not, and it's this whole smoothie. I don't know.
So go with me here.
Let's do it. I know this isn't a sports card episode; it's a sports card industry episode. So,
well, it's great, and it's great you just said that sports card industry. So let's go down the road, right? We call this the hobby. Before you bought Zions, and I know you had, it was an aunt, I think, who bought you cards a long time ago. You have any other hobbies? I mean, people paint model airplanes.
The most fun. The hobby I had, I would not recommend. Like gambling is not a hobby; it's a stress.
Okay, so I mean, gambling is an interesting one. I wouldn't call it a hobby, but I mean, people, have a lot of different hobbies, right? Some people paint.
Playing basketball. Some
people paint for a living, right? Some people not for a living. Some people paint as a hobby. Some people build models, right? They buy like World War II models and they paint them. They buy like really nice brushes. They paint them and they put them up.
You're talking about 40-year-old virgin, yes, Steve Carell.
Some people like trains. He was a toy collector. The $6 billion man toy, Steve Carell. So some people do like the model trains. They have them, in their house, and some people collect, little. There's a lot of different collections. There's a lot of different hobbies. People have a lot of different hobbies, right? This, before recently, was also a hobby, right? A hobby. Now, all of the other hobbies that I talked about, building models, building puzzles, Lincoln Logs, I'm just playing. I'm just trying. Hobbies, things that people do to pass time. People due to to enjoy and you name it. None of them are done as a hobby with an eye towards making money. Nobody is buying a model airplane and saying, you know what? After I paint this, if I do this painting the right way and I get the Red Baron all painted the right way, then I still can't make money on it because the powers that be in those model companies, they're not selling me the good paint. They're not giving me the good model. They're not giving me the good plane. I'm not able to get the Lionel train set the same way that the powers that be in the big companies that do these trains. I can't get that Disney-sized train set. I can't get the good one. No, they're in their basement having fun with their electric train set, building a house and putting a winter village in and maybe spraying some snow on this time of year. And they're spending their money on something that they enjoy, right? And I think this hobby, and I do have a point because the first 30 minutes we talked about all this animosity, all this back and forth, all this us versus them, this Montague Capulet. I think it comes with that last little tidbit, that little hook, that now this hobby has turned into something where we also need that even footing, that ability to make that money. We want our cards graded in a reasonable amount of time so we can get them back and we can sell them.
Correct.
So that we can make some money. Why? It's a hobby. Is somebody who participates in this hobby owed the ability to make money? And what makes this hobby different than others?
A lot of points.
Pretzel.
No, I mean, a lot of good points are. They're not owed to make money. But I would also say that they are owed a fair shot, similar to anybody next to them. Like I think
this hobby has taken a huge step beyond the other ridiculous things that I've compared, Andrew. I mean, the amount of people who are in their basements painting World War II Red Baron model planes pales in comparison to the amount of people who are involved in cards, the amount of businesses that have popped up from this. I mean, there used to be hobby shops, model, slot car racing, all that stuff. Sure, people did radio
on that, right? You buy the model, you buy the paint, and when you were saying that, I was like, they add value. Value is subjective, but they're taking something that's raw and they're making it valuable with color and aesthetic, right? So I do think capitalism, you have a right to earn an income and make money even off your hobbies. I think the frustration is like that if there was like a waiting line for you to be able to finally get that paint would be the frustration on that part.
All right. Or if they raise the price on you or whatever the heck it is. I get it. I guess what I'm saying is maybe a lot of this back and forth is because our hobby has grown in the last decade by leaps and bounds from where it was. And it's not an unheard of thing, right? We've seen other cycles like this before. And you've also seen businesses go under, and you've seen the push and the pull and scammy-rific behavior. Let's call it hanky-panky. It's not the first time it's ever been done or utilized either. It's part of the growing pains. And I think it's all kind of, part of the necessary evil here, right? I mean, the fact that there are quote-unquote watchdogs is not a bad thing, right? I think that they're part of a hobby turning into an industry, part of collectibles turning into businesses, right? And there's big money in this now. I don't remember the last time anybody paid, 7 figures for a World War II plastic model plane with model paint on it and the right type of glue. But the point is the same, right? I mean, this is an unregulated hobby with collectibles. And the amount of money that's come in now, sure, I can understand some of the skepticism and some of the, some of the issues that we're having. But I think we really all would probably be better off. And I think that the end piece for you for the hobby, if we all get some money, we'd all, is better if we, I don't say we get along. I'm not saying that means turn a blind eye. Obviously, if there's something real to call it out. But I think you made the best point of the episode, which is there can't be hanky-panky every 15 minutes of the news cycle.
The frustration is the hanky-panky is one. Like, if I had to point my finger, I would say Panini is probably the biggest culprit.
But they just gave us sneakers.
That was Reebok. They're not giving it to us. They're giving it to our community.
Oh yeah, that's pretty awesome. Sneakers to give away.
Right. It's like, what's the holiday, dude?
The awards are the best.
They are like
the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, so we're gonna do a best meme page. We're gonna do best two because obviously the meme is goated. But like we have this relationship with Reebok where they did the Panini Reebok shoes, and it's like, hey, would you be willing to give 2 to the winners and 2 to the best commenters? So we're gonna.
By the way, take a bow on that. I'm gonna let you guys know behind the scenes on this. Reebok Panini said, "Yeah, we can do this." Andrew said, we'll get a prize for the people we have these awards." And Andrew said, "I think the best way to do this actually is to give the common man, to give the commenters, the people that Andrew's always looking out for." I'm just saying blockable.
Well, I'm not going to be like, who's the best grading company? Hey, PSA, let me just send you all the shoes. Hey, Beckett, here are the shoes.
Well, we did it for the hobby meme page because that's a collector page. I mean, it's not a big company page. So the winners, the 2 top, meme accounts are going to appreciate it. And you're going to pick 2 commenters for the comments that they put in there to win shoes and nice shoes, Tiger shoes. I mean, like for Tiger Stripe shoes, like for Luka Tiger Awards. I mean, that's a pretty cool thing. I can tell you, Cajun, he never wants to block anyone. I mean, he's just like, we should have a free flow of information. And I'm like, block, super block, Uber block, Insta block. And Andrew's like, no, I am going to talk to every one of these comments. And he's always looking out for the commenters. So give this dude a little credit. I think it's a great idea.
At the gym, and I sent a text, and they were very courteous. And then you just have to think through how we're going to do it. So be on the lookout for that. Forget Penny. I would point to the redemption. I would say the redemptions. Like,
people are mad about the redemptions. People are very mad about.
You not be mad about that, dude.
But it's part of it is outside of their control, right? I mean, I'm sure they've sent stickers to athletes and say, "Hey guys, sign these." And the athletes don't sign it. What the hell is Panini supposed to do?
Imagine that we did like a buy 10 get 1 free at the cafe, right? And then people get 10, and we're like, "This is only eligible for the smoothie that we had running last year. Like, we got nothing for you."
I think it depends on how you message that out. If you were to say, "Hey, when we ran this promotion, we were fully expecting to be able to get the delivery of the strawberries that was there. However, let me show you. Here's what we got back from our strawberry distributor that they don't have it." Right? So we're going to do everything we can to replace the strawberry smoothie with a peanut butter smoothie because that we can actually get.
We could peanut butter. We could offer you lunch. We could offer you coffee for a week. We could here's 4 alternatives since we took the responsibility. Right? We as the business took the responsibility. That's what you make your money. Yep. So that I do think that there is something there. So that irks me a lot. It also irks me the player worn stuff. Really, really doesn't sit right with me. Like the NTs. I think we're going to look at NTs of 2018, 2019, 2020. And those are going to be like the Griffey Upper Deck cards. Like I think people are going to laugh at if we haven't even begun to see how cheap some of these on-card auto NT rookies are. I think there's going to be $100 ones, $200 ones of players that were stars. I sent Cage a photo of Eli Manning's best card today. It's his rookie card, gold X-Fractor in a PSA 9. Someone's selling it. And I was like, this is hilarious. This guy's Hall of Famer, probably 2 Super Bowls, accomplished career. He's not the best quarterback of all time, no doubt. $500 for his rookie gold. So it's just, I don't think we've begun to see how much some of these NTs are going to tank because they have no collectability to them.
I mean, listen, it's a valid point. We'll see. Honestly, I think the collectability of a lot of the non-game worn stuff is really going to hinge on what happens next. If Fanatics does what everyone's expecting Fanatics to do, and that means they stop shopping at Dick's and they actually get game-worn stuff and put it in the cards, then yeah, obviously that's, it's like, you are able to trade your Kia now for a Lamborghini. You're going to forget your Kia, even though the Kia is pretty sweet.
Kia is fucking sick.
But you're going to, the Lamborghini is going to, if it has the tint and it has all the good stuff and has all the bells and whistles, you're going to go for that and you're going to forget your Kia quick. It's just human nature. I'm not shitting on your car, man. It's a nice car. It's nice.
I did actually that mental gymnastics today because someone in this apartment complex owns a Maz. And I'm like, why would you spend so much on a Maserati? You still live in an apartment. Like, save that money. I wouldn't trade my car for the Maz. I literally had this thought walking up the stairs a second ago. I was like, I wouldn't trade it.
I drive a rinky dink, so it is what it is. Okay.
Well, I mean, you want it to be good enough, but like you want value, not perception. Any thoughts? So okay, we touched on this. Any thoughts? World Cup, Ant-Man is evolving as a passer, career high 11 assists, and Jokic, man. I am a believer in Jokic more and more each day.
I mean, the stat line in that game was amazing. And the most incredible stat line I saw was that with PJ Washington's bucket at the last 30 seconds of the game to make it, I think it was like a 119-115 final. With his bucket, the Hornets were a losing team, and they scored. PJ Washington had 10. He was the 7th player on that roster to score 10 points or more in a loss. I mean, it's the kind of thing that only happens once a decade.
So we have this group chat.
And the fascination of Cajun, I did it.
The fascination of this group chat is this. So we have Alex, who's just so likable. Like, he doesn't say a lot, but when he says something, you're just like, we like this guy.
So we got to listen to him. We got to listen to Alex. If he's
Shane
speaking, it means something. Shane, I love Shane.
And then we have the two big powers that be, right? They
you
garner
and
their
Cajun.
respect. Time out. They garner their respect. And then there's little Andrew here, right? The little engine that could. And every once in a while, Andrew just chimes in with like, man, how often do you see that? Like 7 players scored in double figures and they lost. That can't happen often. You're a fucking idiot. What does scoring in double figures have to do with them winning? Okay.
The best part is, just for behind the scenes, is that now for the first more than 30 games into the season now, 25 games into the season, every morning where it happens the night before, Cajun texts the group with the box score and says, this never happens. Sometimes it happens 2 times in a night. And just like, all right, fine. But what's funny is he won't stop until you say, all right, fine. I guess it's not that rare.
Until I apologize for saying that. How often do teams lose and 7 players score in double figures?
By the way, the funny part about it is it probably didn't happen that much a couple years ago. But the game is crazy now. There's a lot more depth on certain teams that don't have superstars, a la the Hornets, who, LaMelo scores 30-something and everybody else is scoring 10, 15, 16. And you see games like that one where the losing team scores almost 120 points. And so you're going to have a lot more people do it. I mean, last night somebody scored 150 and then the losing team scored like 127, and that's regulation. It's not even overtime. You're going to have a lot of people score double digits when the scores are like that. And that's a new thing.
I feel bad for the Bulls. The Bulls remember last year, DeRozan hit back-to-back 3-point game winners. And this team was like, can this team go to the finals? Remember this?
Yep.
Like this team, now they're talking about blowing up the entire roster less than a year later.
What's crazy about it is people go on runs. Players go on runs and teams go on runs. Do you know right now the Knicks are on a 7-game winning streak? And
the Magic are on a 6-game winning.
And I think the Nets are either on a 6-game winning streak also, or 6-1 or something like that. Kevin Durant dropped 40-something last night, and no one's talking about it. It's fun, those momentum things. Maybe because they're middle of the road guys. The Nets are a scary team, man.
The Nets are a scary team. The Magic overperformed. They beat a Celtics team twice back to back, which is tough to do. Tatum was out for personal reasons. So the Magic team's fun, but they're 2 or 3 years away, maybe depending on the lottery. The Knicks are outperforming, but if you have RJ Barrett as your guy, you're never going to do anything. He's not very good. But the Nets have turned their season around after firing Steve Nash. And it's interesting because I like Steve Nash, but what they said was, Harden said this team had no structure. This team had no structure. We didn't know what was expected of us from a day-to-day basis. It's tough as a new coach, right? You could be a great player, you could garner respect, but you don't know how to create the discipline and structure and be able to implement that for the team. And dude, they've turned the season around. They're a 3rd seed. They're
third for now. They might even move up. Might even move up more than that. So Andrew and I have had some monumental battles on episodes where I beat my head in, and he talks about how great players are, and I tell him, hey, the player may be great, but the team and their cards might not follow. Giannis was the biggie, right? And we talk about how this guy might be the best player in the league. He might be the best for the next decade, but it doesn't matter. specifically to his cards. So I'm going to leave it there for a second, but I'm also going to drop this little
list.
one nugget in, and I want to hear what your take is about Giannis, about players, about the cards, the whole deal. You're seeing it with Mahomes. Mahomes may be the best player out there. Cards not necessarily doing what you'd expect them to do. I'm pretty sure it's the 4th straight game that LeBron has scored 30. LeBron is playing at a really high level right now. He's probably going to continue to score at high points with Anthony Davis hurt again. That team is winning. They won again last night. I'm not saying they're going to win a championship, but if you just look at the headlines of the hobby, LeBron's cards are taking a bath. He's playing really well. So it's fun to watch the disconnect between player performance and card prices as well. And I'd be curious what your thoughts are. Shoot.
So LeBron knows how to put up stats. I'll put it simply. Like, he doesn't pass the eye test. He doesn't defend. They were up 16.
He doesn't make his teammates better, right?
Well, they're up 16, and then he's like sleepwalking, and then they have to win on like this weird final game, like a game buzzer beater. It's just
Thomas Bryant, 16-10.
Thomas Bryant. I don't want to talk about LeBron.
Okay.
He's putting up the numbers. He's going to break the record. He is Mount Rushmore. Mm-hmm. He's going to be there. He's one of the 4. I want to talk about Giannis because my take has switched, and I have a really solid comp that I wanted to put onto into the group, but I was not ready for that.
You're ready now?
I think Giannis, when all said and done, might have a career more similar to Hakeem Olajuwon than Michael Jordan. And you might think that's an insult. That's the most big compliment you could give. Like Hakeem, if you just go and look at his stats and his career accomplishment, this guy is a decorated
last player before Giannis to do the Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. And yeah, I mean, it's a very similar comp. Yep.
Nobody cares about Hakeem cards, guys. I want people to care about Hakeem because
he might as well have played soccer.
And I'm worried about like you're laughing. Like I see what you're doing there. The parallels seem to be more in that favor than in him, finishing with 5 championships and being cardboard relevant. I feel he's going more down that path of Hakeem, which is actually the ultimate compliment. If he
MVP, 2 back-to-back championships, right? I mean, real good player.
MVP, 2-time champion, 2 times final MVP,
Defensive
6-time NBA
all
NBA first team, 12-time All-Star, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. I'm like
the best center when centers ruled. It's like the scariest dinosaur when dinosaurs roamed the earth. Like he played when Shaq was playing. He beat Shaq in the finals. You know what I mean? So right. I'm pretty sure that was Hakeem and Shaq, right? Yeah. He beat Shaq in the finals. A young Shaq, but still played when David Robinson was playing.
95 finals, just if you guys care.
Played when Patrick Ewing was playing. Played when, like I said, David Robinson. The end of his career, he was there with Duncan there, but a little different, right? Not really head-to-head matchups. But played when Alonzo Mourning was playing. Played with Dikembe Mutombo was playing. Like played with when the triangle offense, was actually a key, and having a post playing center mattered in the NBA. The offense was run through the center in the late 80s, early 90s. So he was great. I mean, he was a great player. I hated him because he stopped my Knicks from winning a championship the year before he played against Shaq. And that was a game 7. And he was the whole team. He was amazing. So that's a great comp. I like it. The problem is what you're pointing out there is as great as you are, your card values might not be great.
Yeah. Let's move to football. Give me like your 2 minutes with football, but take a look, guys. There's this guy, Marjan Beauchamp on the Bucks. I don't know if you guys have followed him, but when one of the 3 guys doesn't play, this guy's been putting up numbers. And he's a rookie. He doesn't get any time. But when Middleton's been, how they've been dealing with injuries in and out to Drew, to Middleton. Mm-hmm. This guy, when he gets numbers, when he gets time, he could score, man.
Fantasy play. Football. The Raiders won on a crazy thing, and my wife was like, I know you're not happy that they won because that's going to mess up their draft picks, but they always mess up the draft anyway. Pretty smart, right? Pretty smart.
That was insane.
Yeah, so crazy day. Just a crazy day in sports, rolling from World Cup, which was amazing, to the NFL, like literally rolling right in as it ended into NFL. A crazy day of NFL stuff. You had Tom Brady looking like a world beater for the first quarter, like jumping out to a lead. That team looked legit. The defense looked legit. You had people saying, "Oh, they're healthy and they're back and they're better than the team that was losing 28-0, to the Niners." And then boom, just Joe Burrow just found his game, found another level, and just looked real comfortable back there. I
think 4 turnovers in the third quarter. I'm not. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm going to look this up, but I believe it's 4 turnovers in the third quarter.
Yeah, the Bengals got to Brady. They sacked him once. There were a couple fumbles. I mean, that fake punt was ridiculous. Take a look at the Giovanni Bernard locker room interview. Pretty crazy stuff right there, because that dude just hasn't done anything all year because I think he was injured, and they were just after him. What?
I hated this. Literally hate this term. Do you guys want to know one of Andrew's pet peeves? I hate this term more than anything. When someone replies, "It's my job." Hate that term. I think it's the easiest way to defer responsibility, because then you could just be like, "It's my job. I could chase you around, harass you, and treat you like shit."
Right. So you're talking about not him saying it's my job, but the reporters who were harassing him.
It's my job. Your job is to build relationships with athletes and bridge the gap between athletes and fans and help athletes share what they thought about the game. You can
have a job, but how you do your job is also different. I mean, you're a photographer that chases Princess Diana. See what I mean? How you actually carry out your job duties do have an impact. So
much. I hate that term. We had a guy at Drexel in the summer. No one would use the Drexel soccer fields, so us who were on the team would try to go and use the field. And he said, "It's my job to follow the schedule, and you guys aren't on the schedule, so I can't let you on the field." We'd say, "It's summer. No one's using the field." He said, "It's my job. I can't let you on."
All right, him. I like that, because you don't want him to get fired. So
we, as the Drexel,
your examples are always the best.
The Drexel soccer team, can't use the field that is our home field to practice because we're not on the schedule.
Well, how do you get put on the schedule?
You have to submit all these forms that the coach does. The coach isn't there in the summer.
Get the coach to submit the forms, or you find a way to submit the forms. Your example is a very bad one.
Shocking human being, this guy. Smokey is what we called him.
All right, so football. I love the NFL because what you see yesterday was the Patriots lose on that ridiculous play to the Raiders, and because of that, they went from a team that should have won, but even going into before beating the Raiders, sitting there at 7-6. With a 54% chance of making the playoffs. Now at 7-7, they're down to a 22% chance of making the playoffs. And the Chargers with Justin Herbert, who we talked about, I said, hey, don't shit on him just yet. He now jumps into the 6th seed with a 70% chance to win and a win probability of all 3 over 50% of their next 3 games. Herbert, it looks like he's going to make the playoffs. So interesting stuff happened yesterday in the bottom of that AFC. The AFC is crazy. Nobody's really out of it. Mike Tomlin, I said on the Whatnot Show, they'll find a way to win, even as underdogs. They did. He's got to win out to not have a losing season, right? To go 9-8, he's 6-8. That's going to be tough. But listen, the Cowboys,
Chargers, Bengals right now is the first round.
3 games left. 3 games left.
It's 18 weeks, 17 games.
So we'll see what happens. The 1 seed is huge, right? So that's the thing. Number 1 seed gets a bye. They've expanded it to 7. So the 1 seed gets a bye. That is a huge difference. The Eagles everything will go through Philly until the Super Bowl. That's a huge thing. It's not clinched yet but they have a 3-game lead. I mean, if Dallas wins 3, including a head-to-head, I mean, there's a potential there. Dallas losing this week was a huge problem there.
It's a big one. Being at Philly is different to play in. There's a few stadiums where you're like, Arrowhead's another one where you're
Let's also say that team has not looked that good. I mean, Chicago gave him a run yesterday. I think it was 10-6 at half. Chicago doesn't really have much of a team. Yeah, I mean, Hurts looked good. Again, A.J. Brown looked good. The running game was a little beat up yesterday. I was wrong about Miles Sanders toting the rock yesterday. He really didn't do it the way he
doesn't care about your fantasy team.
I'm just talking about my prop plays. I know. But a lot of good. Listen, 3 weeks left. 3 games left in the regular season. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm pretty sure that the Immaculate Reception game, which is like 50 years ago, that's the Franco Harris. He didn't catch the ball. I'm a Raider fan. I'll never admit that he caught the ball. And the Steelers go on to beat the Raiders in the 70s and go on to win a Super Bowl, Terry Bradshaw style. That's the repeat. On Christmas Eve, I get a Raider game. Raiders-Steelers, Christmas Eve, I think.
Do you know that so there's only 3 games next Sunday. It's actually most of the games are Christmas Eve.
Yeah, well, I mean, Sunday is Christmas. They're probably not going to want to do a ton of Christmas games unless it's nationally televised.
They're not. There's only 3 games on Christmas. Most of the games are on Saturday.
Yeah. So I think I get a Raiders-Steelers Christmas Eve game, which is pretty cool. That's fun to watch.
Who's your favorite right now? Is it the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl?
Bengals.
No, who's your favorite to win the Super Bowl?
Bengals. If I were betting right now, I'm sure I'd get good odds. And remember, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. You could get even money on betting the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Eagles. And plus 150 to bet the field. I don't know if it's still the same because the Bengals might have thrown that out of whack. But I'm telling you, I don't know what the odds are for the Bengals in the Super Bowl. But what I've seen is I think the Bengals get there. I really do. From the AFC, I think the Bengals
better offensive line from last year?
They have a better offensive line from last year. They've gone through some adversity. They had some difficulties. I just honestly, the Bengals defense can stop Josh Allen, and they can't stop Mahomes, but they can match Mahomes. And the Chiefs defense is porous. They do not look good. Their Chiefs defense is not a good defense. You know what
defense. I think that their strategy is? Their strategy is to give up is to have as short of the time on the defense on the field. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So they're like, either we're going to cause a turnover or do something crazy, or they're just going to come down and score. But anyway, we think
because don't worry, Mahomes will score.
Right. If we give Mahomes, other thing is the more we get Mahomes the ball, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we'll outscore them. It's kind of what I feel like.
Yeah.
It's a terrible strategy.
Other teams' strategy is to keep Mahomes on the bench. The less chances you give him, the better chance of beating him. Because if he only has 5 chances to score touchdowns, the most they can score is 35 points. You know,
if you go that route, what's going to happen is teams are going to just pick up chunk yardage, and then they're going to use all 40 seconds of the time. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So they could still keep Mahomes off the field for a long time while it's like they give up 8 yards every time.
Exactly what we talked to Terrell Davis about.
Oh, really?
Which is exactly what we talked to him about. We talked to him about it, and he said it's easy to say that you could do this, but a lot of teams could do it. So the Titans, if they're running on all cylinders with Derrick Henry, can do it. The Niners, he said, could do it. That was before Garoppolo got injured, but this other dude looks pretty. He looks pretty.
I read the book. It's One More by Ed Milet. So these aren't my words, but he talks about how one more can change a culture. And I don't know if you guys remembered, like
this one more what
team. This was a laughing stock of the NFL.
Oh yeah,
and I know they got Boyd, I know they got Jamar Chase, but it's crazy to me how much Burrow has changed the culture of the Bengals. You agree with that?
100%. But this is a quarterback league, man. You get the right quarterback in place. Your franchise goes from a joke to legitimate.
But it's not always the physical aspects of like, okay, this guy. It's just it feels like the culture of that team has changed. So I don't disagree with like it's laughable to hear Bengals, but then as you think through it, you're like, they believe in themselves. They believe in that organization. They believe as long as Burrow has the ball, and then you have playmakers.
Jamar Chase is your dude.
Yeah, I mean, up on him pretty quickly.
There are teams that could beat them on any given day. The Bills and the Chiefs and the Eagles could probably beat the Bengals, but on any given day, I think the Bengals could beat all those teams too. So that's my pick.
I don't hate it. Is that another episode? Any final thoughts?
I mean, we've covered almost everything. Do you want to put a little Andrew style soccer flavor cherry on top of the World Cup Sunday? The way only you can. 2 minutes on your take. You've been saying all along that Messi's card values will go up. We saw a rash of buy it nows being hit on
I said eBay. That his legacy is solidified with a World Cup win. I mean, he's won Champions League, so he's won everything now at this point.
I would say from a soccer collector's perspective, you could not have asked for anything better than what you got yesterday. On the biggest stage of soccer, you got a really competitive, exciting game, and you had an old GOAT versus a young GOAT and found a way where both of them come out looking better than when they went in, even though only one is able to win. Mbappe looked amazing, wound up winning the Golden Boot, wound up having a hat trick where he hadn't scored for the first 60 minutes and then threw a hat trick in after the 60th minute, which is just amazing. The one goal, the non-penalty kick goal, was as impressive of a clip as you're going to find to advertise for him and the greatness that can be going forward. No, he put so much behind it. He was able to really get behind the ball, stay down, and really, I mean, if I were a soccer collector, I would be thrilled at the product that we put out there yesterday. Sure. And just all of the young talent that's out there, from Camavinga on France, who didn't make a fool of himself, to what's the kid on Argentina?
The goalie?
His name? No, not the goalie. The young kid. He's 22 years old.
Alvarez.
Yeah.
It was a great. You know, he plays for City.
Yeah, with Haaland. Yes, crazy lineup. But he doesn't play. He doesn't play for City.
He's gonna go elsewhere
because he subs in for Haaland. You watch a lot of City games. He doesn't start, which is pretty crazy in and of itself. What the hell am I talking about? How do I know Alvarez doesn't even start for Man City? He comes in and subs in for Haaland. Holy shit. Do I watch soccer? No. Anyway, so fun stuff, guys. I think, my cherry on top of the Sunday for the World Cup, because Andrew, the cat's got his tongue, is that you have to love what you saw yesterday. It was pretty impressive. Although the goalie from Argentina forgot that he was in Qatar when he was, dry humping the trophy that he got there. He got the best goalkeeper thing. What was he doing there? I mean, they're gonna find him shot.
The thing with the internet is some memes. I don't really feel like spending all the time to figure out where this came from. So I'm like, nah, not worth it. The save and the extra time
in regulation.
Yes. When the kick save, that was
who was that? I'll say the guy's name. It's like a two-part name, more something with an M and with a K, and I'll say it wrong. Kolo Muani, yeah, K and an M. So yeah, I got that stuff. Yeah, he's got to loft that ball a little bit, but it's easy for me to say, fat guy sitting on my couch. That's a great save. That save won the World Cup. That save is enough of a reason why I know there were other goalies. The Moroccan goalie was standing on his head. You could have given him the trophy for the best goalie in the tournament. That guy was awesome. I mean, Tim Howard from a couple years ago, he was standing on his head. You could have given it to him. Tony Meola could have won some trophies. I mean, there's all kinds of great goalies, in American history. But
it's cool to see the play. Like Argentina dominated for 60 minutes. Mm-hmm. You don't see first half subs very often. To have Didier Deschamps make those subs, you bring in Camavinga and you bring in Kingsley Coman. It's crazy that that's the guys that they bring off the bench, though. If you kind of think
about energy, attack,
Bayern and Madrid, like you got superstars coming off your bench, and they obviously brought a ton to the game. The first one was a Coman steal to fight back. I just think we're blessed. I think sometimes you get lucky with amazing performances, amazing games.
I mean, if you were a conspiracy theorist, you would say how amazing it is that Messi wins a championship right after we get to see Brady play against Mahomes, and right after LeBron wins a championship. I mean, what's the next major sport we need to see something? Baseball. Mike Trout. Maybe Mike Trout needs to win a championship with Shohei this year. Then all the tinfoil will align.
Other than the one red card where I think he should have got a red card for like the handball, I forget who they played against. I didn't think you can't just say conspiracy theory without any proof. Like there was nothing. They didn't get
why not
losing calls.
It works in the hobby. Kick cats in the shower.